Welcome and thanks for joining me. In this volume of Inspirational Prompts, we'll be looking at Midjourney's updated testp mode, which creates incredibly stunning and almost lifelike landscapes and objects now. It's pretty amazing, and honestly, it's just blowing my mind. The first prompt we're going to chat about are some of my favorite things to photograph in the real world, but in this AI world, we're talking about mushrooms. And just given the detail that you can finally get in these new AI prompts is just out of this world. You take a look at the details on like the tops of the mushroom caps, and then all of the other types of detail within the ground elements. Midjourney is really doing an incredible job of really creating a mood and an atmosphere that's almost lifelike and surreal, but just utilizing different types of mushrooms when you're putting it in the prompt is going to give you a variety of mixed results. The details, again, just look absolutely beautiful. You'd reach out and almost pick these mushrooms as if they're there. But one thing that I really enjoy doing with these types of mushrooms too is adding in different types of words like bioluminescence. And when you add those types of words to the prompts, you end up with this really wild and dazzling array of different types of textures, different types of colors and vibrancy, and it really brings this type of like macro world to life. And if we do more traditional stuff like you're seeing here with our mushroom caps, and it's really just blurring the line between what's real and what's not real. The photography aspect of this, using macro photography, all of these prompts are using a macro prompt in them, so we're able to tell the prompt to do either a very shallow depth of field or a very narrow depth of field, and it's giving us this really beautiful bulked out backgrounds, and with the bioluminescence added in there, it's giving us glowing mushrooms and glowing grass, and it's just absolutely spectacular to watch. Now, one of the things you can do too is just try to use different language when you're doing this, so try different types of mushrooms or try different types of artifacts and details, and you'll end up with something very cool. Moving on to our second prompt, which is the swamplands. I was kind of inspired by this by actually a trip down to Louisiana I had a couple years ago, and it's really beautiful how Midjourney is being able to take these scenes, giving you beautiful reflections of what's happening in the foreground and the background, and then just the dynamic lighting that's happening here with the sunlight as it's beaming through the trees. And if we move over to our third prompt, which is the dragon's blood trees, kind of staying in the landscape realm, these are just absolutely beautiful. These trees are located in Yemen, and AI is doing a pretty good job of mixing them together. They kind of remind me of some of the trees that are out in the West, but as you can see, like you're getting this really kind of otherworldly, other kind of atmospheric feeling from these different trees, and it's really beautiful to look at. Moving on to more creaturistic type things with spider webs, I was messing around with doing different types of orb weaver spiders, and just the amount of detail and clarity that you're getting in these spiders is just unworldly. I freaking love it. And these different types of webs that are supposedly between the mushroom caps. I mean, this one's actually just floating out in space, so maybe that's not the best one to use, but Midjourney is doing a much better job now of being able to depict what you're actually describing in your shot. And in this shot, I was describing having spider webs between different types of foliage, whether that's mushrooms or trees or leaves. And it did a really great job of kind of coming up with a middle ground for that. And I really do like the macro aspect of this. So you're getting those dewdrops on the spider webs, and it's just beautiful. Moving over to Patagonia, this is more like doing sweeping landscape shots with beautiful lighting, so everything in here was either using the words sunset or sunrise or golden light or vibrancy in the sky, and then ranging from 50 millimeters to 100 millimeters, getting these really beautiful detailed shots of the canyon walls. Midjourney is again doing a really wonderful job of compiling information and compiling data that's coming from these regions. And this was like I put in a specific area of Patagonia, and while it's not necessarily true to form, we are getting a lot of the shapes and the colors and the stylization and the textures that you would really see out in Patagonia. And I'm absolutely in love with just the color and the way that the reflections happen, and we're getting almost like true reflections too. So if you look at the different types of foreground and background objects, they are reflecting pretty much one-to-one in the water here. And so Midjourney is really doing a great job of, again, kind of crossing that line of fake and real, and it's doing a miraculous job of really combining a bunch of different aspects that quite honestly, you really only get in the real world. Now, one thing that I really enjoy about Patagonia is just the different types of mountain ranges. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go and explore, and I think utilizing AI gives me that ability to really go there. And if you've never done AI generating, it's super easy to do. I've got some tutorials out there if you want to learn how to do it yourself. But for me, this just takes me on a journey to places I've never been before, and it really allows me to get all excited out. So when I actually go out to these locations, I'll be very eager to go out and film. I really like the subtlety of the stars in the skies in this one, and even just like the nice, gentle sunset as it's happening in the background. It's really spectacular. And again, the detailed shots that you're getting out of this now when you are able to switch up the lens choices. So if you want to go from a wide 16mm or a tight 100mm, you can add those into the prompts, and it's going to generate an image that is usually pretty much on par with what you're describing. With the water lilies in our 6th prompt here, the detail isn't as good as I was hoping for, but it's still so much better than it was 6 months ago. We're getting actually like lifelike and realistic looking objects and textures, and again the reflections are 1-to-1, and it just looks beautiful. And the last prompt, which I really love, are just the waves. And if there's something that you want to go out and do, doing waves is one of those things that I love doing, because every one is completely unique and each one is actually completely beautiful and dazzling. And again, adding the word bioluminescence to this shot really makes it great, and it makes it pop. I want to thank you guys for joining me. If you guys like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next inspirational prompt volume. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful day.